All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of the topic for review. All right, so we're going to continue on with number 7. It says select each equation that the number 10 to the second makes true. So first things first, you need to fill in these boxes 10 to the second power. And remember, when we multiply decimals by the powers of 10, or multiplying, I want to say again, we move our decimal to the right. The exponent, tells us how many places. So all we have to do is move our decimal once, twice. 3.1, or 3 1/10, does that equal 31? It does not, so that is not an option. Okay, so 501 thousandths, move it twice. 50.1, does that equal 501? It does not, so that is not an option. 4 800ths, 1, 2. 408 equal 408, it does, so this one works. 97 hundredths, 1, 2. 97, does that equal 97? It does, so that one also works. And then move it 2 places, 1, 2, 55 hundredths to 55. Does that equal 550? It does not, so there are two choices there. Be careful, because when a question asks you to select the equations that make the number true, you want to make sure you do all of them to make sure that all of them aren't true or are true, and you get all of the options. All right, so let's keep going. Look at number 8. Natilda drew a square in her notebook. Each side measured 2 5/10 centimeters. It's written there. Now with a square, we've got 4 equal sides. Part A says, what is the perimeter? And we haven't really talked a whole bunch about perimeter, but to find the perimeter, you want to add up all of the sides. So I'm just writing up here, add all sides together. So there's 2 ways I can do this. I can add 2 5/10 4 times, or I can just say 2 5/10 times 4. Remember, I don't like decimals in my multiplication, so I'm going to move it and make it 25. I know 25 times 4 is 100, and I know that because if you have 4 quarters, that equals, a quarter equals 25 cents. You have 4 of them, you got $1. And then I've just got to move my decimal 1 place back to the left, so it's going to be 10 centimeters is the perimeter. Now the area we have talked about. Area equals length times width, okay? So our length is 2 5/10 times our width, which is 2 5/10. So really, we have 2 5/10 times 2 5/10, but we don't like decimals, so we move 1 place to the right and 1 place to the right. We know that that's a total of 2 moves that we're going to have to go back to the left. But let's multiply. 25 times 25. 5 times 5 is 25. I drop my 5. I regroup my 2 to be added. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Then I need a placeholder, and I can kill that 5 and get rid of that regrouping because I'm done with it and I don't want to get confused. Now 2 times 5 is 10. Drop a 0, regroup a 1 to be added. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I add those together, and I get, I'm going to write it over here, 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 0 is 2, 5 plus 1 is 6, so 625. Now remember, I have to move it 2 places back to the left, my decimal, so 1, 2. So 6 25 hundredths is my area. And all of this would count for writing an equation to model your work. All right, let's look at number 9. Once again, we've got these boxes. Match each expression on the left with its product. So we're multiplying by powers of 10 here. 10 to the power of 2, that power of 2, the exponent 2, tells us we're going to move our decimal once, twice to the left. To the right. Woo, messed up, Mr. Walker. So I have 304. Which one matches 304? This one does. Here I have an exponent of 4, and we're multiplying, so I'm going to move my decimal 4 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I have a hole here, and we know to fill that hole we put a 0. So 3040 would be my answer. And there's the answer. We're multiplying by 10 here, so we know that we're just going to move our decimal place once to the right, so 30.4 or 30 4/10 would be our answer. And then we're multiplying by 10 here, which is still one move to the right. So 3 4/100ths, which is process of elimination, the last one. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. Number 10, select all of the expressions that are equal to 9/100ths and 4/10ths. So we're going to do this just like we did the other one. We're going to put 9 over 100 because it's in the hundredths place, times 4 over 10 because it's in the tenths place. Well, let's start off by which one matches this. This one does. Does this one match? 4 over 100 and 9 over 100? It does not, so that one can't be. 9 over 10 and 4 over 10, does that match? It does not, so that one can't be it. 4/10ths, 9 over 100, this one matches. 40/100ths and 9/100ths. So once again, you've got 4/10ths. Is that an equivalent decimal to 40/100ths? It is, because there's an understood 0 right here. So this one would also be correct. All right, number 11. One glass of lemonade has 115 calories. How many calories are in 3 5/10ths glasses of lemonade? Write an equation to model your work. So we're obviously going to multiply. So our equation will be 115 times 3 5/10ths. So we're going to set this up with the most digits on top. 150. Ooh, my pen went crazy. 115 has the most digits. Multiply that by 3.5. But I don't like decimals when I multiply, so I'm going to move this decimal one place to the right to give me a whole number of 35, and I'm going to remember that so that way I can move it one place to the left in my final product. So now I can multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. I drop my 5. I regroup my 2 to be added. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 1 is 5. Then in order to move to the tens place, I need a placeholder of 0. I'm done with the 5, so I can kill it and cross off that regrouping so I don't get confused. 3 times 5 is 15, so I drop my 5. I regroup my 1 to be added. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to add these two partial products together. 5 plus 7 is 12. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to think for a minute. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So I'm going to drop a 0 and regroup a 1, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So 4,025 is what I have. But I've got to remember I've got to move my decimal place one place to the left because I moved it one place to the right. So here's my decimal behind the ones, but I'm moving it in front of the ones, which now gives me 402 5/10 as my answer. As my product, I should say. Okay, let's look at the next one. All right, so number 12. Natalie likes to mail lots of postcards when she goes on vacation. In 2014, the cost of a postcard stamp was 34 cents. So keep that in mind. Natalie buys 10 postcard stamps. What is the total cost of the stamps? So we're going to multiply 10 times 34/100ths or 34 cents. Really, guys, this is a decimal multiplied by a power of 10. We know that when there's 110, we're multiplying, it's 10 to the first power. So all we have to do is move that decimal one place to the right. So we know that she would spend $3 and 4. But Mr. Walker, you don't write money like that. You're right. What number is understood to be here? A 0. So she spends $3.40 on postcard stamps, on 10 postcard stamps. Natalie and her friends for part B decide to buy 100 postcard stamps. Well, let's think back. What is equivalent to 100? 10 to the second power, right? So really we're multiplying 34/100ths or 34 cents times 10 to the power to 10 to the second power. That exponent of 2 tells us to move our decimal place 2 times to the right. 2 places to the right, which gives us a whole number of 34. So she spends $34 on 100 postcard stamps. Last one. Number 13. Without doing multiplication, match each expression on the left with the correct product. Use number sense to help you. Okay. Now, when we say use number sense, the easiest thing to do is to look at the whole number when you're multiplying. So here I have 8. 8 times 1, if I'm not trying to multiply, using the standard algorithm, I'm just using number sense. 8 times 1, that's 8, but I know that there's some decimals afterwards, so it might be a little more than 8. So I'm going to go with the number that's closest to 8, which is 9 and 568 hundredths. So that one's going to be my answer. 5 times 0 is 0. Which product up here is closest to 0? 2 is. So I know that this one's going to be my answer. 6 times 4, I know, is 24. So I'm going to go with the one that's closest to 24. Well, I say that. There's 2 options left. There's 19 and then there's 29. So let's look at the next one to kind of determine and help us use our number sense. 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, well, which one's closest to 14? We know 19 is closest to 14 because 29 is way past it, right? So that would leave us with 6 times 4 would be closer to 29, even though it's kind of not. But the numbers in the decimal places that would bring us to 29 and something. So I hope that you got these answers correct, because remember, we're not multiplying, we're just using number sense, and it's easier just to look at that whole number on the numbers that you're multiplying. So I hope this helped. Feel free to pause the video, do some extra practice within your Skinny workbook in topic 4, so 4.1 through 4.9. And if you need anything else, please don't be afraid to reach out.